Hi, everyone. I'm Tim from the Book Dragon, and I'm here on day 5 of Linda Jones's book tour to talk a bit about her tour book, Deadwood Hall, from the Oozing Magic series. Thanks for joining me today, Linda.
Hi Tim, it's really nice to talk to you.
Okay, and if it's okay with you, I'll go ahead and get started with our questions.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay, so here's my first question. Deadwood Hall is about a brother and sister. Did you get any inspiration from their relationship from your own memories, or was there anyone else who inspired them?
Well, I have two grown-up children now who are in their 30s, makes me feel ancient. So yes, lots of experience with young children. I have very young grandchildren. So it wasn't hard to remember and to think back about how the siblings argued, occasionally got on, etc. So that was quite easy to write. And also, obviously, friends of mine have children sitting in cafes watching how they interact. So it's never hard finding really good things to write about. So yeah, lots of personal experience in there. So don't tell them, will you, please?
Yeah, I definitely recognize that kind of thing from growing up with brothers and sisters myself. Do you have a favorite character in the book?
I have two favourite characters. I mean, I really like the two young characters. I like Emily and I like Dylan a lot. I think they work together really well. It starts off with Emily being really snooty and being the big sister, but I like that reversal where it's Dylan who saves the day and then Emily saves the day, etc. But that was fun to play off, and that was what I saw in real life. That's how the brother sister relationship worked. I found the arguments very easy to write. Um, and I really wanted to make sure that it wasn't too sickly sweet. That for me is very important. And children don't, well, my children especially didn't really get into that. They quite liked the arguments and when I was reading stories, things that never quite went right.
Mhm.
So Lemony Snicket and things like that, they would really enjoy.
Yeah. And so Deadwood Hall is the first in the Oozing Magic series.
Yes.
Did you want to tell us a bit about Oozing Magic and maybe what inspired the title?
Well, the using magic came from a poem, a longish children's poem that I wrote for a shadow puppet play that I did with my husband many years ago. And it's about magic oozing up from the ground. And it was written for Halloween. And I'm sure you can imagine within the poem it describes this stinky smell that comes out. And in the book I talk about the magic stinking. It smells not very nice of old cabbage and things like that. So you know when there's bad magic around. And so that's where the title for the series came from. The title for the books just happened really. I wrote the books and then the titles came. And Deadwood Hall was easy because a lot of the action takes place in a hall that's made of dead wood. So I'm not going to give anything away. And the second one happens underwater. So Deep Water seemed like a really good title. And then
Mhm.
Caverns Fall, the last book of all, was great fun to write. And again, the title just came with the story. And again, it's the title I came to really almost at the end of the book. So it's interesting, isn't it, how people find titles for their books?
Mhm. Yeah, so I know you covered a little bit about this already, but without giving too many spoilers, can you tell us a bit about what to expect with further books in the series after
Well,
Deadwood
it is
Hall?
about magical fantasy,
Mm.
um, and it's about very strange creatures. Another thing I really enjoyed about the books and writing for this age group was I could make words up, so I could make creatures up. So within my books, and in the first book, there's a creature called the Wivicks, who
Mhm.
are not particularly pleasant and full of snot and green and slimy and pretty yucky. But in the end, Dylan and Emily win out. And they also get to meet a magical soldier who is a toy initially when they first meet. And that that part of the story, the miniature soldier, is key to the whole series. I'm not going to say too much about that. So you meet another character in the second and another character in the third book. I have got some ideas about carrying the series on, but I've left that for now. I've just left the 3 books as they are. But it was a delight to write. I was surprised at how much I really enjoyed writing them. Yeah, it was good fun.
Yeah, that's great to hear. And you have another series, the Fraser Chronicles, as well as your new police procedural North Run.
Yeah.
Did you want to tell us a bit about those books?
Well, the Fraser Chronicles, again, 3 books, is written for an older age group, so 10 plus. And it's very different. This isn't magic. This isn't fantasy. Well, I say not fantasy, but it's a bit of sci-fi in a way. So it's more based in, it's a contemporary book. It's still young people. And Joe is 13. And when you first meet him, he has this massive lump on the back of his neck. And he's quite disabled by it, really. And the story is about him being alone at the beginning without very many. He's got one friend. And then about this lump which moves, it slides down his back. And something pretty awful has happened to him when he was a baby. And it's actually about somebody implanting cells into his back, which sounds bizarre, sounds really weird. And it's about how he escapes from this mad scientist and he makes friends, and the one friend he has helps him. And the 3 books are about how he overcomes all the difficulties. And I have a thing about flying, I think. I like flying. I dream about flying quite a lot. So the first book is called A Fistful of Feathers, which possibly gives away some of the story. The second one is Flight and Fight. And the third one is called Freedom Rising. So there is a conclusion in book 3, but again, there's a possibility that the story could continue if I wanted to. So I really enjoyed writing that. And then I've stepped away from young people's writing and I decided I'd jump into adult novel. And one thing I read a lot of is crime fiction. I like a good murder, as quite a lot of people do. I would never commit one, I need to say that here on tape. But I like reading, I like the fiction, I like the puzzle, I like trying to work them out. So I decided I would write this novel, and it's set in Yorkshire. It's set in a
Mhm.
fictional town called Hepsford, and it's very newly released. You can buy it at the Book Dragon shop, and I'm really proud of it. It's had some really good critical feedback. So yeah, very proud. And I'm going to be writing, or I am writing the second book in the series as we speak. So yeah.
Oh, great. So I was going to ask if you had any plans for what you might work on next, which I believe you just answered.
Yeah. So I've got about 12,000 words of the second book under my belt. Um, as an author yourself, Tim, I'm sure you're aware how difficult the second book can be because
Yeah.
you said, you're second guessing yourself constantly.
Hmm.
Um, and although I know the beginning and I know the end, it's the bit in the middle that's difficult. So trying to get the two to tie up, but it's getting there. So I always find the first sort of 7 or 8,000 words the hardest, and I've got through that, pushed through that. So it's becoming fun again. So I'm determined that this book will be ready this year.
That's great. And so be sure to check out the rest of the book tour, including our newsletter, um, with a lot more interview questions for Linda on our website at www.thebookdragon.co.uk. And there are signed copies of Deadwood Hall available at the Book Dragon now at 6 West Row in Stockton-on-Tees. The full address will be at the end of this video. And thanks for joining me today, Linda.
It's been an absolute pleasure, Tim. Thank you very much.
And thank you for joining us.